Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you and welcome to this, the latest in our series of Doha debates from the headquarters of the Qatar Foundation. The Palestinian president and the Israeli prime minister have both indicated they believe a peace deal can now be reached after years of bloodshed and political stalemate. Tonight we ask how realistic such beliefs are. Is the current optimism nothing more than mood music, or is there finally a clear roadmap to a clear destination? Our motion, in keeping with the character of the Doha debate so far, is as controversial as ever and aims to challenge the preconceptions of the moment. This House believes that the Middle East roadmap to peace is dead. Our speakers tonight all have an intimate knowledge of the subject and come at it from widely different perspectives. Speaking for the motion, Dr. Flynt Leverett. From February 2002, he served for a year as Senior Director for Middle East Affairs at the Security Council and was closely involved in the drafting of the roadmap. He left the White House because of policy differences and is now Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institution in Washington. He says he has plenty of stories from the Oval Office. Also for the motion, Alastair Crooke. He served most recently as Security Advisor to Javier Solana, the European Union's head of foreign and security policy. He helped facilitate the Palestinian ceasefires in 2002 and 2003. He was honored by Queen Elizabeth for services to the advancement of the Middle East peace process. Let's see if he can do the same tonight. Speaking against the motion, Khatib, Palestinian Minister of Labor, who's flown here directly from some of the stormy scenes we saw earlier this week in the Palestinian Parliament. He was part of the Palestinian delegation to the Madrid peace talks in 1991 and is co-founder and director of bitterlemons.org, an Israeli-Palestinian internet magazine. And for once on the same side, Rabbi Melchior, member of the Israeli Knesset and Deputy Minister of Education, Culture and Sport. He's been a Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs under Shimon Peres and holds the Nobel Institute's Prize for Tolerance and Bridge Building. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel. Let me now call on Flynt Everett to speak first in support of the motion. This House believes the roadmap to Middle East peace is dead.
Thank you very much. I'm here to argue on behalf of the resolution that the roadmap for peace between Israel and the Palestinians is indeed dead. I have to argue that the roadmap is dead because really from its inception, at its very beginning, it was stillborn. And by that, I mean that the roadmap as it was conceived and put forward cannot serve as a serious substantive basis for resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and for helping the parties get to that two-state solution that President Bush and Israeli and Palestinian leaders say that they want. Now, of course, that's not to say that you can't have diplomatic activity, diplomatic process that is generated by the roadmap. To some degree, we're seeing such activity and process today. And if that diplomatic activity and process can help the parties stop the killing that we've seen go on over the last 4.5 years, considering literally how many thousands of people have lost their lives on both sides during that period, that obviously is a good thing. But we should have no illusions. If we rely solely on the roadmap as it is presently constituted to guide our diplomatic efforts between Israelis and Palestinians, whatever we achieve in the near term will be temporary, and it will not get us to that final settlement of the conflict. There are many specific deficiencies one might point to in the roadmap. My colleague, Mr. Crooke, will tell you about some that he believes are particularly important. But I want to focus on one thing in particular, and that is at its beginning, when we were working on the roadmap, we had no illusions that the document we were putting together would be able to serve as a comprehensive and complete framework for resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The roadmap as it existed was conceived really as a placeholder on this issue to show somewhat of an increase in American attention and engagement on the issue in the run-up to the Iraq War, to provide political cover to our allies in the Arab world and Europe in advance of that conflict. Those of us who drafted the roadmap knew that without further substance, further substantive elaboration, particularly on the difficult final status issues, final borders, status of Jerusalem, how the Palestinian refugee issue would be handled, without further elaboration on those issues in particular, the roadmap as it was constituted did not stand a chance of working. I think that history has so far borne out that assessment, and I think that, I hope that this is not the case, but I think it will be the case that if we do not move beyond the roadmap, that whatever near-term progress we're seeing now will be temporary. Thank you.
Dr. Leverett, thank you very much. You're saying it was a fraud right from the start, the roadmap?
No, I'm not saying that it was a fraud. I'm saying it was a placeholder. It was meant to provide political cover to states that were going to be working with us.
But the Bush administration knew from the start that it wasn't going to do what it was advertised to do.
I would say that certainly that the people who were working on it for the administration knew that, and I believe that our principals were very well aware of our views.
So do you think that America's credibility as a peacemaker has been damaged by this roadmap and by the reasons for which it was put out?
I believe that American credibility on this issue with important players in the international community and with the Arab world is obviously strained at the moment.
Dr. Leverett, thank you very much indeed. Can I ask Ghassan Khatib, please, to speak against the motion for 3 minutes, please?
Yeah, well, I disagree with the conclusion that the roadmap is dead. I believe that the roadmap is alive, and it has a chance of being revived nowadays. And I have specific reasons why I believe it's alive. The first one is that when you look into the context of the roadmap, you find that it has answers to what the majority of the public opinion in both Israel and Palestine want. For Palestinians, the roadmap is about ending the occupation that started in 1967. It is about establishing a Palestinian state alongside these same borders. And the roadmap includes also the notion of a solution to the refugees problem. For the Israelis, the roadmap also includes most of what the majority of the Israeli public opinion want: peace, security, recognition and integration in the region, which can lead into economic prosperity. So the basic notion of land for peace is embedded in this document in a way that will keep it alive as long as there is a conflict. From a Palestinian perspective, as long as there is a conflict, we will continue to work for ending that occupation. And the Israelis will continue to work for ending conflict, violence, and get peace and recognition. The second reason why I believe that it's still alive is that it's one of the unique documents that are based completely on the international legality. And again, the Palestinian side, and I think it's difficult to have anybody disagree with that, are